Welcome to Calling the Audible. You're listening to or perhaps watching us. I am your host, Peeze Del Ruiz. I'm joined by Simon Dagenet. Mo Khan is not here today because he does not take his responsibilities seriously.
He's also kidnapped.
Yeah,
it's not his fault.
I've heard he's been kidnapped. So 4 clues
it's not
and
him.
hints.
I mean, it's not his fault.
In fact, if we can elicit the creativity from our listeners, if you can post where you think Mo Khan has been kidnapped and who kidnapped him, we will read it on the podcast.
We'll give a prize to whoever has the most creative one.
Yeah, and the person who is most curious about his life choices and how he ended up here is Jim Calathris, who's going to be forced to read these things later in the show.
Lovely.
I kind of like that we can't make eye contact in the show because, like, I feel like I'm going to get the daggers more often than not.
It's coming. It's coming. Does that mean, though, that I'm not relegated to left field or right field or where
I don't
I
know
am
which
right
field
now?
people are in. I'm also not good in lefts and righties.
Neither is Mo, so you're already qualified.
Correct.
There's no fields here.
And in northwestern, eastern St. Leonard, of course, is our producer, the Eagle at Master Control, who actually did some creative work this week. I'm pretty impressed. I'm happy with the description
title.
podcast. Yeah.
Maybe he's done it before, but we just didn't notice because we're here.
No, the pride that he read it in, like, that's how you know. That's how you know. It's like, I did good. We're going to start, as always, in Division 6. Get into the games that were. We'll talk about the playoff scenarios and some award nominees because we're with award giver extraordinaire and all-star chooser, even of his own ilk.
We have a write-in to the show right now.
Nice.
Marc-Andre Delaunier says Homer Simpsons.
Okay. All right. Okay, so Mo Khan was kidnapped by Homer Simpson.
There's a
because
plural. Yeah, it's Homer Simpsons. I don't know if it's plural or not, but like I said, if you
is it like a Thomas Crown affair where everyone looks like Homer Simpson? And instead of swapping cases, they're trading Mo Khan like currency?
Is he saying we're Homer Simpsons?
What?
Is he calling us Homer?
I think it's a response to the question, no?
I don't know. It doesn't say.
Anyway, it's possible.
It could be many things.
So the thing is, we're gonna look at again some of the games. We'll talk about the playoffs, but as well. Because Simon, people don't know this about you, but you're sort of like the head of our awards committee.
Sadly, I think people know that about me.
And well, this is Division 6, so maybe
that's
not.
true.
All-Star committee. You were, of course, infamous for choosing yourself in the All-Stars.
Yes, obviously.
After a very subpar season.
Yes,
Eagle, it looks like you have a comment.
I was gonna say, if you want to make a payment, you know who to have to give the money to.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I got your $36 Interact e-transfer.
Everybody's got my email because it's everywhere on the website.
Mm-hmm.
So,
just send the money.
Just FYI, just putting it there.
What games did you see?
Speaking of Marc-Andre Delaunier, a little bit earlier, he played Clinkers played Penchapline. Clinkers needed to win to make the playoffs, and they did, which is just to begin with, Clinkers beating Penchapline is impressive. For them to beat them in the playing game, and
I'll tell you why, but we'll get into it.
But it's a playing game for Clinkers. It's not really a game that mattered for Penchapline, but it's some. I expected Penchapline to kind of run away with this game easily, and listen, Clinkers play well. So,
and to touch on a point, because pull back the curtain a little bit. Mo Khan usually writes the script. We're kind of up a creek today.
That's
Simon and I. This part of the week is very busy for us because we write articles and so on. The thing is, what you sent me as a question is what's wrong with pension plan, right?
Yes.
And I think it's not what's wrong. It's that teams that it's in my brain. Teams that are sort of system based. Are tough to beat in some circumstances because their system works very well. In the case of pension plan. But if you know how to beat that system and your game script prevails in a specific game, because remember, guys, we're looking at it's a one game sample size. That's the beauty and the most frightful thing about football and FPF is you lose a game in the playoffs and your entire season is done.
It could be one bad drive and like one throw, basically, you could lose a game.
So Marc-Andre Delaunier, what I've been impressed by is how fast he absorbs information. I've been working with him all season long, and he's the kind of guy who goes out and gets information.
Yeah, we spoke a little bit this week.
Exactly.
Sent me a message, was asking me a few questions left and right. Like, obviously, if you ask me about very, very specific things regarding a team I haven't seen necessarily play, I've seen Penchapline play once. So if you ask me what does Penchapline do on defense, I can't help you. But if you give me like a very specific question, as like does display work against this kind of defense? Obviously, it can help you out.
Well, so what Pension Plan does well on defense is they take away the deep ball. They play a lot of stack. And so what happens is it then leaves your flat defenders 2-on-1.
Yep.
Yeah. They're defending two guys by themselves. And anti-siege is the rover. But if you know he's a rover and you can pull him out of coverage by attacking short early, you can then attack
Well,
behind.
if you know he's always the rover,
He
the
always
roamer. Yeah, roamer.
Rover also works.
Cool.
That's
So
no, just it's a language thing.
but if you know that he's the one that does it at all
Mhm.
times, then it's easy to just look at him and go the other way.
Yeah.
Like if he,
Well, especially if you attack the flats early and he starts to jump it, and knowing that they protect the deep wall well, that's when you can start to attack sort of intermediate middle part of the field. That's when your post will be open, your deep ends.
Yeah, you basically provoke him to do something, and then you
exploit where he's not. You know, and as great as he is, he can't be everywhere.
Exactly.
So, what I'm impressed by is not so much the score, but how well Marc-André Desaulniers prepared for the game and executed the game plan that he prepared.
Yeah, agreed. I was surprised to see how much, I wouldn't say like effort, but time he put into this game. He knew the game was important, and he went all out. And it's good. It's good to see that someone puts this much effort into something and actually like winning. If they would have lost like 40-12, it would have sucked. You know, you go out, you put let's say an hour or two preparing for a game, and then you can't do anything about it. It's a bit tough, but it's good to see that his efforts were, how can I say this, rewarded?
Yeah, that's the right way to say it. There's no other way to put that.
Another game that surprised me this week, Los Bandidos, Channel 4 News Team.
Okay.
Channel 4 News Team feels like this best, if not second best team in the division.
I disagree.
And
I think they're very beautiful.
Los Bandidos they're not a bad team to begin with. Like those Bandidos after games, but it still feels like a lower seed tied a very high seed.
So, but I think that you're confusing their ability to be a top contender in the division with their seeding.
Okay.
In the case of
so them being, let's say, second seed doesn't necessarily represent them as a powerhouse.
No, and they're a good team, but they're a team I think that's going to be matchup dependent. And like the thing is, like when they play against a team like Stick and Movers or Hopeful Division 6 champs, teams that don't necessarily score a lot of points, they're winning those games. And you know they beat the U. U's been up and down all season, but when they played Pension Plan, for example, that was a loss. They played, other than that, they played Goon Squad, who's been struggling. Kuji Squad's been struggling. Potatoes have been up and down. The U, like we said, it's they don't have a ton of quality wins.
Fair.
Then they lost to Clinkers last week because it's again a team that exploits, like we discussed, exploits, finds what to exploit in your defense. And then again this week having struggling against, I think, an evenly matched Los Bandidos. I think if this was a playoff game, I'm 50% of the time I can see Channel 4 News Team winning, and half the time I can see Los Bandidos winning.
Makes sense that they tied.
Exactly, but not just the result.
No, but I see what you mean. Like I could see it. I saw Channel 4 News Team play a few times. I saw their game against Goon Squad. It wasn't close. It wasn't pretty. The record shows that they've been doing well in the season, and to me, they should be able to beat on teams like Los Bandidos. Like if you want to be one of the contenders for the Division 6 title, you should be able to win these games. These are the kind of games you should win by 2 scores before a playoff game in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
That's the way I see it. If you're second seeded, act like a second seed.
Yeah. Green Monster won, only scoring 8 points. And before, as a preface, Eagle and I were actually at Brossard. We're working with the Brewers to try and give them a hand and learn the ropes a little bit. We'll talk about that when we.
That didn't work out well.
Well, we helped them midway and after the game, and we'll explain that when we get to talking about them specifically. But Green Monster won, only scored 8 points. But I spoke to Patrick Chazon was there.
Yep.
I was on crutches, and he cornered me. I couldn't escape because I was on crutches. But he is like, yo, we beat, you're saying there's only 3 teams on the top of the division. Mm-hmm. We beat one of those teams, and also heard you.
Yep.
What the hell? Why aren't we considered one of the top 3 teams?
Because you only scored weak points at this point.
Exactly.
Yeah, they have a good defense.
They have a great defense. Honestly, like if defense could win championships in FPF, which is not something I believe, then they have a chance to win a championship.
Yeah, they have a guy like Patrick Jason who's very talented that not a lot of people know about.
But even and he's one of the more well-known players on the team.
Yeah,
because he's been around for a while. But But there are guys on the team that aren't as well known who are equally talented, especially
sure.
on the defensive side of the ball.
He's not the
Alexander
only guy.
Nadeau, for example, Darnell Kevis Riley. These are guys who are athletic, who get to the ball, who are menace for the opposing quarterback. But again, you're not the only athletic team. Other teams will be just as athletic in the playoffs, and that's something they may not have seen week in, week out. So I don't think the gap is necessarily huge between, let's say, Green Monster, probably top 2 of the second tier of the teams in Division 6D.
Yeah.
But I still think they're outside the top 3. What do you think?
I don't see Green Monster being, let's say, a powerhouse in the division. They're not one of those elite teams that people are scared of. I still think that Green Monster has a good chance of going far in the playoffs if things go their way. If they win these games 8-7, that's not good games to add into the playoffs. If you only score 8 points, you shouldn't be winning games.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas on the flip side, if they could they only scored 30 points twice in this season. One was 53 points somehow. The other time they scored like 32. If their offense could get going and score about 30 points regularly, they have a very strong defense that could make them a real contender. Until then, if your offense only scores twice a game, you might be bounced out early.
Can you guys remember a single playoff game where the winning team scored 10 points or less?
GM?
Probably.
This is your strength.
Yeah, but
give me a few. I think I can find.
But probably means it doesn't happen often,
just the
right?
fact that we don't know one off the top of our heads means it's not like
that we don't remember at least one.
I can tell you, I don't remember a finals that's happened that way.
I remember.
I remember, and this is of course Division 1, so it's a little bit different. But I remember a finals that started with 5 interceptions back to back between D-Boys and Montreal's finals, and that still was like a combined 80 points in the game.
And they still put up 40 each. I remember a few. Like I could see games. We've seen playoff games years recently that you lost 19-18. Like I could see 19 points being just enough in a closely contested game.
But both of the an example there. That season was a game between One Seed Power and Eagle at the time. He played for Hot Boys Hotline. But the big flaw for both of those teams is they didn't score enough.
Yeah, but
and what happened was Hot Boys Hotline beat us, and then what happened next game for Hot Boys Hotline?
We got killed because he couldn't put up more than 3 scores.
Exactly.
Yeah. So but with 3 scores, you'll be able to win a handful of games, but I don't think you'll go the whole way.
Because in Division 6, you got to win, 4 playoff games?
So is the criteria 3 scores or less?
So 10 points.
Okay. 10 points?
Well,
no.
10
Warhawks beat the boys in Div 5 semifinals 14-12.
How many hundreds of years ago was that?
2011.
2011.
14-12, though.
So, I mean...
I'm impressed that I was able to find it that fast.
No, seriously. I mean, the crack staff research team we have
We also don't have, a search bar for these things.
No, but the thing is, I will say, before you go, I'll get to your point in a second, but I will say, look, I like Green Monster. I don't take it to think I am hating on this team. I think what they've done is impressive. But you got to win, 4 or 5 playoff games? Without scoring more than 3 scores? Yeah, that's going to be tough.
I was going to say, based on that research, the odds are not in your favor.
Sorry, but history is not in your favor.
I don't think they'll allow 35, but they'll still have to put up 20-ish.
Because you can still lose the game 21-20.
And that, they could still lose a game. They scored 14. The other team managed to score 18.
Yeah.
It's still a very good defensive battle for you guys to only allow 18 points, but you still lost, right?
Anything else, Division 6, Division 60 that you've seen?
Division 6, there's plenty of things that happen.
Tell me.
1 Speed Power.
Yeah. I'm not healthy.
Guardians are now what we could call on the bubble, I guess.
Actually, I got a nice story to tell though. It's not about me. It's about the team we played against and Stephen Harpersad. As you know, big fan. They were blowing us out early.
Yep.
He actually came to see me at one point and said, "Peeze, you don't look okay." But then at the half, he actually pulled me aside and he said, "I don't want to be that guy.
Okay.
So should I take my foot off the gas?" And
That's
which I
nice.
said, "No." I said, "It's our job to stop you, and my defense is not going to get better from you."
That's
taking your foot off the
that's
gas.
true.
And so, but the class was nice to see. It was nice to see him.
It was nice to
come to see me as a man
offer
and
and
talk
say,
to me.
"Listen, I don't want to put up 50 if you guys are going to lose your shit on us and get mad or whatever." There's some
we're
teams
not that kind of team anyway.
There's some teams that it works out.
Yeah.
Like you could do it, and some teams are going to be like, "Okay, whatever, it's fine." But there's some other teams where if you put up 50 something on them and you hit a touchdown late in the game, they're going to get mad.
The mind games would have been real if you were like, yeah, please slow down, and then you put your foot on the gas.
honestly,
stop at 30.
I couldn't put my foot on anything. So honestly, it was just nice to see, and it's a team I respect a lot, and a lot of good guys in that team. So happy for them, happy for the success they're having. But yeah, so next game I just wanted to touch on that story. I thought it was really nice, and a nice story for guys in 6 starting this league.
Guardians are technically in the playoffs at the moment.
But the season's done, so
it's
not in their control.
We've talked plenty of times about Guardians and how they're not competitive, yet they're in the playoffs now.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you guys, by you guys I mean UNSP Power.
So UNSP Power needs to win.
Yep.
And then what would happen was, because we're playing against Potatoes, right? So
if UNSP Power beats Potatoes, then you guys are in and Guardians are out.
And Potatoes have clinched anyway.
Yeah. But if you guys lose, then Guardians are in and you guys are out. It's basically your Guardians.
Yeah. Have Potatoes clinched?
It's playing. Yeah, because Guardians don't have a game left.
They do?
No, they've played 10.
They have 9 games. Guardians are 2-6-1 at 5 points.
Who are they playing next week, Eagle?
I'm going to
Pretty sure they played 10 games.
While Eagles bring that up,
yes,
I've continued to waste my time, and I'm still troving the. I'm still troving the website. So, 2 offensive teams actually who had a defensive playoff game was back in Div 4 in winter 2013.
Okay, getting closer to recent.
It was 12-6. Buddies against Mustangs to Gridiron.
Oh, I remember that game. I was there.
But also, that was a game of just bad game play by quarterbacks. Then
both quarterbacks didn't play well. It's 2 teams that were essentially the same baseball team. That split in half, and they knew each other, and there was all that tripping. And but yeah, by the way, it's written on the
Guardians
script.
do have a game. Sorry about that.
Guardians play Channel 4 News Team, and OSP play Potatoes. Yeah, Guardians are 1 point ahead of OSP. So
Guardians still would need to win.
If they win, you guys are automatically out. If they lose, then
if we win, no, because Potatoes have
1 point ahead.
Potatoes would still have a point on UNSP Power.
So basically, you guys need to win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that we know.
Or if you tie and the Guardians lose,
that's still
and then Goon Squad they lose 2.
A lot of things need to work out.
A lot of things could happen.
Yeah.
Conference B is simpler. Diablos play Los Bandidos. Loser goes home.
Oh yeah, that's easy.
That's the most fun about week 11 is when you have these games where winner goes to the playoffs, loser goes home, and that's it. That's all.
I will one-up you on that. My favorite is when a team has a matchup week 10, and then they play them again first round of the playoffs.
That's kind of fun.
That's the fun one.
Yeah.
That's also tough
and
to beat the same team twice.
It's almost never the same team winning back-to-back.
Well, and especially often when the underdog wins, they've given everything in the previous game to make the playoffs. And now the other team knows everything about you. Like, there's no trick plays left because you used them all. There's nothing left in the bank. But so let's go back quickly to Conference A. How do you think? I'll leave you to the analysis because
it's going to play out. I believe it's going to play out. So Guardians have a very tough matchup against Channel 4 News Team. We've touched upon the team a little bit earlier, saying they're very matchup dependent. I think
it's a good matchup for them.
I think Guardians is not the kind of team to exploit those matchups well. So I think I don't see Guardians winning this game. So it's going to come down to UNSP Power beating the Potatoes. It's not a guarantee. You guys should be able to, but Potatoes have been up and down. So if you catch them on a good week, you'll lose by 20 points and you won't really understand what happened. If you catch them on one of those weeks where there's a lot of drops and the quarterback throws into the curtains more than often and there's just out of sync, then maybe you guys have a chance.
Yeah.
From your offense, I would say you don't have a chance ever. But you never know. Honestly, it's one of those games. To me, it's a coin flip. It could go either way, which is fun because I hate games where I could predict this is what's going to happen. It's going to finish 40-12. It kind of ruins the excitement of the game. So it should be a good matchup. I think OSP should make the playoffs, but you never know.
Yeah, it's the thing that OSP's had to do every season since starting.
Win the last game of the season just to make it.
X amount of games to make it.
And then get bounced in the first round.
Second, maybe. We'll see. So
speaking of playoff scenarios, Division 6D.
Okay, you want to get to 6D? Because I wanted to talk about Conference B first. So Conference B, you said Los Bandidos Diablos, right?
Yes.
They have the play-in game.
Yes.
Honestly, I wish we even had a formalized play-in game after this. You know what I mean? Like,
what do you mean?
There's just like the last 2 seeds, regardless of records, have to play a game to get into.
We talked about it a little bit. That would be a very interesting scenario.
Like imagine a game like this where Los Bandidos and Diablos play.
Yep.
And then they have a play-in game right before the playoff
against somebody
game.
else.
No. But like, let's say the standings stay as is, right?
Yep.
Los Bandidos beat Diablos,
Yep.
and the standings stay as is. Then they'd have to play a play-in game before a playoff game, right before.
We've done this in Division, I think 1 or 8
Yeah.
before, where 4 played 5 for the last spot.
Yeah, but it wasn't right before. Was it?
No, but I'm saying it'd be
No.
wicked.
It just happened to be like that first round.
I think it
quote-unquote.
would be wicked though if like there was a play-in game at like 6 p.m. and at 7 p.m. you have your playoff game right after.
So your team that is, let's say, the first seed show up at 6 to watch whoever wins this game plays against us right afterwards. It's tough to play 2 games back to back because the first half you're all warmed up, you're good to go, but the second half you're kind of running low on juice. So there's a big chance that it gives those first seeds really home field advantage sort of thing.
Yes, but at the same time, as a first seed, I'd also want to be able to game plan and prep for them, whereas now I have to watch, observe, and then execute, right? So if I really want to game plan for it, I actually need to show up an hour before, so I'm already there.
What's game of the week in Division 6? Is it One Speed Power Potatoes or is it Los Bandidos Diablos? What do you think? What do you guys
Los
think would be a better
Bandidos
game?
Diablos is going to be a great game.
Agreed. One scenario, by the way, that we didn't consider, One Speed Power beat Potatoes, Guardians lose to Channel 4 News Team, and Goon Squad beat hopeful Division 6 champions. We have a tie for 8th spot between One Speed Power and Goon Squad.
One Speed Power has the tie break though.
But is it 2-way tie or 3-way tie?
There's also no head-to-head.
There's no head-to-head, but
No.
we have divisional record.
No, but they would actually go ahead of you because they would have They would have a 3-8 record, whereas you would have a 2-7-1.
Oh, if we tie. Oh, I thought if both teams win. Yeah.
If you both win, you would have a.
If we
3-7.
tie, we're not making a playoff.
Yeah, but yes.
let's get ties out of the picture.
Yes, that won't happen.
So let's get into 6D.
Okay.
And by the way, you wouldn't actually, because you would be 2-4, and they would be 2-4. No, 3-3. My bad. You're right.
Yes.
Sorry.
But do your research. Eagle.
Continue.
Thank you. Yes, Division 6D.
Mhm.
So Conference A, Conference B are basically locked in. That if you go on our website, overview, press the playoff standings, as you could see on your screen. You'll see, if you're watching.
It'll look like what it looks like right now.
Exactly. It'll look green and red, and there is no moving anymore. Yes, you can tell, but yes, that's what it is.
I thought it was green and dark green.
No, it's green and red.
I didn't know that.
So everybody in green are in the playoffs. Everybody in red are not in the playoffs, and because of the differentials between the last seed and the first last seed, the 8th seed and the 9th seed, let's go that way. The one last game will not change anything. So the playoff seeds are locked in, and the only thing they could change is where they finish. Let's say they finish 5th or 6th or 7th, but they will make the playoffs.
Okay. And so we also have 2 teams that have been officially eliminated, right? We have Brewers in here for the beer.
Yep.
Unfortunately, the season's done.
Conference A, yeah.
Time to get some beer. For those 2 beer named,
I hope they had
maybe
beer
drinking
before.
beer is not great for playing football.
I hope they had beers before the week 10. If you waited 10 weeks just to say, oh, we're eliminated to have beers, I feel like you're not doing this right.
Yeah, you haven't learned.
Find Simon to Field's first picture's on him.
What?
Fact.
Why?
Fact.
No, it's not.
So we went to see.
Don't say things like that.
Eagle and I went to go see Brewers.
Okay.
And we spoke with them, and it's a team that doesn't have any football experience.
It's their first
They
season.
don't know what the routes are called.
They're not football players.
Yeah, but like the lack of knowledge is what's troubling them, and the thing is that they played Air Force One.
Well,
Air Force One hammered them, and the game was over at the end of the first half, and Air Force One basically, like, refs offered a chance to call it. Air Force One basically said sure, and so they left. And so the Brewers were given half the field practice, which was nice.
Okay.
It
Was
really good
39
dudes.
nothing at halftime?
Yes. It was bad.
Okay.
It was bad.
That's
2
yeah.
pick sixes. No
and then a
stops.
nasty
stuff.
pick over the middle
Oh,
of the field.
because
Yeah,
I thought
one-handed pick jumping upwards where it's actually a good read and the DB just made a crazy play.
Okay, so that's one thing. When I saw the score, I thought 39 nothing. It's a beat down, but it's not 60 nothing at least.
Yes, at least. But I mean,
But it would have been.
it probably would have been. And one of the things that we saw all game long was just not knowing how to read the field and not knowing how to call the plays, and I saw the wristband and like it was a lot of late breaking routes, ISO reads, and things that happen 10 or 15 yards down the field that you just don't have time to read, and so James Moulton really trying his best, but like a lot of times rolling to his left side, then he sees the defense kind of collapse, and then he sees a wide receiver open and throws it across the field, and then he's like, I don't understand how that was a pick. I was like, well, because as small as the field there's still time for the defender to undercut the ball.
What could help them is if there's a few teams that does this is they film themselves. So if you film your own game and you rewatch it afterwards, you kind of see how throwing that ball makes it float in a certain way, and the guy could just shoot forward and get it. Yeah, like it requires a little bit of like thinking, but when you see it on film, it really helps you to understand how easy that pick is.
There is no harsher truth than seeing yourself play on film.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's a humbling experience.
Yes, it is for all of us.
It reminds me actually in terms of what happened with those types of interceptions. A coach of James Harden once said that what was amazing was in film, he would see himself lose track of the guy he was guarding because he would switch, and then when the guy would cut behind him, James Harden, basketball player for Houston Rockets, when he would see the guy cut behind him and make an easy layup because he was no longer guarding him, James Harden thought as if the player had appeared from thin air. Like he had no concept that the guy could move behind him, and it was just, and that's what this kind of reminded me of. Is like, yeah, but the defender was over there, but the defender can move. You know,
that doesn't mean he's gonna stay there for 3 seconds.
And then here for the beer. Actually, they reached out to me too. They sent an email, so I'm gonna be hitting you up as soon as I get a chance. Sorry, I have not yet, but I promise Eagle and I will get to you. We'll talk to you and we'll give you a hand.
Tell me which day I'm avoiding my girlfriend on, please.
I'll let you know.
I'll let her know in advance.
Yeah, I'll let you know. It was a nice romantic evening for me and Eagle as well. So they're eliminated. So what does the playoff picture look like overall?
So
Pine Riders also.
Yeah, Pine Riders and Baker Boys in Conference B. They're the 2 teams that are officially out. Due to Baker Boys' loss to Black Sox this week, 19-6, I believe the score was. Baker Boys are now officially out. I find that's the best way to not be in the playoffs, I guess, is like you lost. Like you had a shot at winning. You didn't win the game you were supposed to. You're not in the playoffs. If it's another way around, another team kind of wins and pushes you over, I find it sucks a little bit. But
it's amazing that Pine Riders was a team we were worried would be too strong for Division 6.
Yeah, we were talking about Pine Riders should be one of those strong teams, bullying a few new teams, and listen, they're not even making the playoffs.
Yeah.
So we were wrong. We know nothing.
It happens. More often than I'd care to admit, but it definitely does happen. So in Conference B, do we see any changes?
I don't think so. I think it's pretty set in stone. The bunch of these teams are, I wouldn't say, the seedings might change a little bit, so the matchups might not be exactly the same if we look at them this week and if we look at them next week. But as we mentioned before, a lot of these teams are matchup dependent. I don't think any matchups are too favorable for one of these teams. So just play your game and see what happens, and just go, not fate, but do what you have to do and play whoever's in front of you.
In Conference A, replacements play Crackers.
Yep.
SDMNA plays Vultures.
Yep.
DGC plays Krakens. Who do you think takes the weakest second seed probably in the history of FPF?
So obviously, if I say Krakens, they're gonna lose. So I'm gonna go Quackers.
Quackers?
No, I'm gonna go
Quackers can't.
No, I'm gonna go with Vulture with Adeterminé because Quackers are gonna be replacements, and I can't pick against Krakens now because they've proved me wrong so many times.
Adeterminé would go from 8 to 2.
Yes.
That's insane.
That's great. I think.
But what's amazing is that the second seed is guaranteed to have a sub 500 record.
Yep.
That's insane.
But at the same time, it sort of makes sense because they all play each other, right? So it's like cannibalism sort of thing, where it's not necessarily they're weaker. It's just they've played each other and they've all lost to each other, so their records are not the greatest. But it's also fun to see that. It also explains that second seed is not necessarily the second best team in the division.
Yeah.
So that team that gets a 7 seed matchup could potentially be favorites.
Yeah, and that's the theme of our podcast for the last few weeks.
Yep.
So I have something. It kind of, and this is like the MoCon proposal every year, but I think this is where it works. So I think Division 6 was more interesting when it had a larger playoff. And what do you think of the split in Division 6 occurring at, like, you compete in Division 6 or Division 6D playoffs, but you only know which one you're in at the end of the season. You sort of ranked in the way like NCAA or NIT are ranked. And this way, like a team like Air Force One that we think can compete in Division 6 and SICPIC that we think can compete in Division 6, they go on to compete against teams with which they're perhaps more equal.
So we ranked them afterwards, so we kind of mashed them together.
Yeah, like split them into two tournaments. Since like I don't think it works in every division the way Mokan thinks, but I think that essentially where it works is Division 6, just because there's so many unknown quantities. So like a team like Bliss Babes may be the 1 seed in 6D. Air Force One may be a 3 seed in Division 6.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It could be fun to see that a team like Air Force One, for instance, that kind of rolled through the regular season, goes into the playoffs thinking, okay, we're not the best team anymore.
Yeah.
I think the easy way to look at this is there's 24 teams in Division 6 and 20 in Div 6D.
Yep.
So would you consider Air Force One and SICPIC team number 25, 26? And if they had been in Division 6, would they have better records than whoever was in rank 23
I think in some
24?
cases. I think in some cases, yeah.
I think so too.
Playing devil's advocate here, though, what's to stop a team from sort of sandbagging and just winning just enough to make playoffs, but messing around? Like, say you're in 6, you win just enough to make playoffs, but then you're bumped down to 6D.
Well,
and then you just
also, I mean, it doesn't have to be mechanical. We can make a committee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen it in college. Like right now, college basketball is going to own our lives for the next 3 weeks, and all that's based on decisions made by committee, based on what they think is the most entertaining product, right?
Oh yeah, they decide who should make the tournament and who shouldn't. It's not purely based on your record.
No, it's based on largely who they think will make the most money.
That's like the NCAA
so
with the
that's
bowls.
subjective, though.
Absolutely, yes.
I was going to say, depending on where you draw the line between 6 and 6D, this would influence teams' records in both of those divisions. Because if we drew it, let's say at 30 as opposed to 24, there's 6 teams of 6D that would have been in 6, and their records would have not been the same, as well as teams in Division 6 would have had potentially better or worse records.
Unless you have
a split, right?
You can also have like 2 or 3 crossover games that would during the season
crossover games
that would show you
super crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I want the most interesting thing, right?
So there was just a tangent away from that for crossover games. There was a spring season 4 years ago, I think, maybe 5.
Division B and A.
Division B and A, where only 3 teams registered for Division A. So there were a bunch of crossover games between Division B and Division A, and I think it was more than like 2/3 of the time the B team won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. And it wasn't just like, and the other times, like Montreal's Finest, even like that team, Montreal's Finest, lost to a Div B team in that season.
Yeah.
It was an interesting concept.
And the thing is that I think what it does is if we have some crossover games, it gives us some ideas as to who we think is stronger, weaker, and then we can either re-rank whatever, or we can go back to a system where we have 36 teams making a single playoff. Just because I feel there's an excitement that's lost with 2 smaller playoffs in 6 and 6.
The 36 team feels like a really big tournament, like
it was sort of our March Madness, so Division 1, yes, is the most excellent football, whatever, but Division 6 to me was the craziest football bracket we had in FPL.
You also see those 3 and 7 teams sort of get a crazy win and then go in the second round. So okay, these guys are much better than we give them credit for, and then they could make the conference finals at 3 and 7, which is not something you see in higher divisions.
Yeah.
So it's something that could be interesting. I think the crossover is easier to say now, looking back and saying, okay, so Air Force One.
But look, the thing is, we're trying things with Division 6, right? Yes. So 6 and 6D was a new concept.
Yes.
It may be something continues, maybe we do something else, but the only way we know is by trying stuff, right? So
like today, if we would have said if Air Force One would have played 1 speed power in week 6, for instance, what would have happened? It would have been a really interesting game. Mm-hmm. Now, it's easy to say now, but if we would have made this preseason with Air Force One not knowing who they are, haven't seen them play, and basically have no information on them against a team that we expected to be better than they currently are in 1 speed power, it's a bit more difficult to do. Mm-hmm. So like in hindsight, it's easy to say, but it could have been an interesting concept, even if you have like Pine Riders who would have played against, let's say Quackers, for instance. Mm-hmm. Sure, Pine Riders would not necessarily be at the same level, but that doesn't mean they're going to get blown out. You never know. Like, you could match up against them and be like, okay, we win a few matchups, we play differently. The guy might take a little bit differently, saying, oh, it's a crossover game, be more laid back. The atmosphere could have been different.
Yeah.
And again, this is a very specific issue to Division 6 because of the fact that we have new teams returning. Like Division 5 and 4, there's a cap, right? So if you're doing well, it's because you've optimized your team given the limitations that have been put on you. Whereas Division 6, you're a brand new team. I don't know if you're the Brewers or Air Force One, right? To give an example, right? You could be on either extreme.
I'd say something like 40% of unknown quantities in Division 6. Even because like a team like Crackers, where you have like unexperienced guy, but now he's playing with new players.
Krakens, yeah.
You know, like that's an example too. Or
you never know.
Or you have Black Sox now struggled, but now they add two pieces that are very experienced, very talented, and
or you see a guy that never played quarterback before.
You're trying it out, yeah. Kevin Marshall, myself, like you don't know how these teams will shake out. Like, oh, these teams look good, but then the quarterbacks are terrible.
Are you still considered in the trying category?
What? Yes, I'm trying with a great deal of difficulty.
But that's a good, like we see it in Division 6 with Two Flags One Cup. Jacques Jonion never played quarterback before. They started to give it a shot. But in Division 6, it's tough to gauge where he belongs.
And they were a team on the cusp that were almost placed in 60.
Yep.
And they would have been way too good for 60.
Well, look at him now.
Yeah. So I got a text from Daniel Pisatoro.
Okay.
Of what's that team called? Vic in a Box.
Okay.
Because due to something I had said, he texted me like yesterday, but something I said last week. He's like, I know this is 6 days old, but, and he's like, you really think Vincent Benjamin is the best player in Division 6? Now, here's the thing. You know this about me, Simo. I don't think ranking is useful.
Yes, you do.
Because
you rank everything.
I don't think there's a great deal of difference between 1, 2, 3, 5, 6.
You rank serials at home.
And even that being said, that's statistical ranking rather than like the objective.
Yeah, for sure.
Objective, just like eye test.
Yeah. No, and so like. So the question I had was, I've had 3 guys that I consider like Madden glitches in Division 6. Guys who make plays that really, it doesn't make sense that they were there to make that play. And so I'll drop it here. I kind of think I know how you guys are going to go, but the 3 names I got are Max Bira, Vincent Benjamin, and Matthew Lerner. So Matthew Lerner a little bit more well-known because he's played
Justin
Lerner.
Justin Lerner, sorry. I wrote the wrong Lerner brother. Justin Lerner. I mean, nothing against Matthew, by the way.
He's still good.
He's still good.
Justin's better.
I don't know what's happening with me in names. I don't know. So the thing is that these are guys who've made plays that are just absolutely ridiculous. That I'm telling you, having played against basically all 3 of them, sometimes it doesn't even make sense that they're at the spot that they're at. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So given that, who do you consider to be the Madden glitchiest? What's your Madden glitch rankings, Simo?
My Madden. Oh, that's a good question.
Who's the glitchiest?
I've seen Max Bira last year. I've seen him this year. He's a very, very good player. Mm-hmm. But I think if I was to pick one of them to play for me, for instance, I would pick Justin Lerner first and foremost. Not because he's necessarily better, but his play style. I find he's more versatile than Max Bira is. Max Bira is a dominant receiver. Justin Lerner, he could do a little bit more of everything.
There's also something to be said. It's not something that you can really easily qualify, but Justin Lerner being a quarterback, then going to receiver, as a receiver, the way he makes his cuts and he sees the field differently as a receiver and as a defender.
I would say as a defender especially.
Exactly, reading the offense the way a quarterback would, and he brings that to the table as well. So that knowledge, combined with his freak athleticism, always puts him in the right place at the right time.
Yeah. Well, he intercepted me on a ball where I thought Will Power was wide open, and he
may have been at the time.
He was, and the thing is, but the way he read the play was like a quarterback. He's like, take away the fade, and then he knows I'm not going to look back to the fade, so then he starts breaking on the post to undercut Will Power, and that's a freak play. That doesn't belong in Division 6.
But there's also a lot of understanding behind it. He knows as a quarterback, this is what you would do. So now, as I'm playing defense, I know how quarterbacks think and react, and I know how to play against that. So he also gets that understanding of the position that some people don't necessarily have. That really, I think, gives them an edge.
So would you say of those nominees, you've awarded it to Justin Lerner?
No, I would not, because I did not do this.
That's a good transition there.
Nice try, Eagle.
So Simon, you're publishing an awards article, nominees article.
It should come out. I will go with tomorrow because it's either going to be at midnight or tomorrow morning. So either way, it's Friday. It's a nominees article, so instead of going with the typical award-winning after the season, one winner, and that's it, we're going with a slightly different format this year. We're nominating players a week before the season ends. If you're not nominated, you cannot win the award. And amongst the guys nominated, whoever finishes with the best stats at the end of the season will get the award.
Purely on stats?
Yes, purely on stats. It's a stats-based award only.
So then what's your formula or precedence? So I know we've talked about this, but if you have 20 receptions for 20 touchdowns, or if you have 40 receptions for 25 touchdowns, you're going to give it to the 20 for 20, or is there a yards component, or how do you equate
Nothing is more
them?
interesting.
Tell him, Eagle. Tell him.
Than formula
Because,
talk.
well,
Quantitative methods, mofo.
Not necessarily formula, but we've had a conversation about quarterbacks,
It's the
right?
worst
In terms of
Right.
completion percentage versus yards per pass versus rushing touchdowns versus whatever. So how do you guys quantify that to pick people, not only from a nominee's perspective, but also from selecting an award winner?
So the bigger the number, the better. So whoever scores the most touchdowns, don't.
But he gave you like
Yes,
between the two.
Yeah, everybody stopped listening after 2 minutes of rambling of numbers.
2 minutes. You gave that 2 minutes?
That was 2 minutes.
I've already sent 4 texts.
That sounds like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So I would say that if we try to use a formula where we try to say that
formula.
yes, where touchdowns are worth a certain amount of yards. So let's say a guy has 20 touchdowns and the other guy has 400 yards, which is better. It's tough to say, right? You don't think they're both valuable. So we try to find a way to compensate. Let's say one touchdown is equal to this amount of yards. So we try to say, so if this guy has more yards and more touchdowns, then he should technically be above.
Trying to find equivalence.
Exactly. Thank you, Jim.
I was wrong. That's worse than I thought it would be.
was
So
not
for
2 minutes,
award
though.
winners, please check the site tomorrow.
For nominees.
For nominees,
Not
sorry,
award
not award winners, for nominees. And then the voting will be done once the season is concluded. And every
Exactly.
team has played 10 games. Should Div 6 have a Rookie of the Year for newcomers or guys playing in a new
Yes.
position? Like Zach Jonio to me would be Rookie of the Year.
Yes.
This division,
Yes.
hands down, right?
Rookie of the Year, I think we should also start to incorporate MVP.
Mm-hmm.
That could be an interesting discussion to have. Who's the MVP of the division? All teams combined. That could be interesting to see.
Yeah.
But Rookie of the Year, I think Division 6 is the right. Like you can't really do Rookie of the Year in Division 1 because there's like 1 or 2 new guys.
Every 2 years.
Yeah, so it would be like these 2 guys fighting for each other. Like, but Division 6, there's a lot of guys like Jack Zonio.
What if we get those 2 guys physically fighting and whoever wins gets the
Ooh.
award? Gladiators. Just saying. It worked. It can work again. Make Gladiators great again. That's all I'm saying.
I like it. Do we give them swords or just straight up brawling?
They can use their own swords. They can bring them from
Oh,
home.
their own swords.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to find one. So
Yeah.
it kind of takes
Like,
a little bit of
Have you
prep
ever
and
seen
stuff.
Forged in Fire?
Yes.
It's one of these shows where you've never seen it. They give you like random scrap materials and you need to make a sword.
Wow.
And so whoever
Really?
wins the Forged in Fire champion,
Where can I find this TV
they
show?
get the MVP.
Where can I find this TV show?
Where you usually watch it, apparently.
Can I make a lightsaber?
Like a GM. That'd be awesome. If you can, then yes, you automatically win MVP. Are there guys who underachieved in either Division 6 or 6D that were considered for awards at the beginning of the season that just sort of fell off?
You?
Yeah. Okay. I was hoping you were going to go that way. Other than me.
There's a few guys that I wouldn't say necessarily underachieved. I'll be honest. Marc-André Desaulniers, what he was able to do as a quarterback really impressed me this season.
He overachieved. Didn't
Yes, overachieved by.
So
a
not the
landslide.
question I asked you.
No, but I turn it around to name someone else. You underachieved. You're my underachiever this season.
Okay. GM, you got an underachiever?
Not currently. Here, 1 second.
Was it Peeze
Eagle,
too?
do you got one?
I'm trying to find my notes from
You guys,
previous
like
weeks.
he was talking for 3 minutes. None of you guys did research?
I think they both agree with you.
Probably.
People can't see it, but the moment you asked the question, I pointed
Everyone,
directly at you.
I saw 6 eyes hit me at once. But yeah, look, in my case, I was in the running for quarterback of the year 5 or 6 weeks in, and it just fell off.
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm. Honestly, that's what I'm basing it on. It's not necessarily preseason. It's after 3-4 weeks, you looked. I'd go really good, like quarterback
man.
of the year candidate,
Look,
and look what
got a
happened.
new haircut. Got my beard in check.
So what happened afterwards?
Beard got out of control. GM, what are the games of the week? I mean, this is the
Week of the games.
nice.
Okay.
So we're going with Fighting Flamingos against Farmers in the Alliteration Bowl.
I just played Fighting Flamingos, and there's no way Farmers will even score 2 touchdowns.
Give me Farmers to score 3 touchdowns, but still lose by 20
But Stephen
points.
Harper's not here, so Jesse Racine probably
They'll still lose by 20 points.
Agreed.
Blitz Babes against the U.
Fun game.
The U, man.
No.
I like the U.
Give me Blitz Babes. Their level of athleticism is ridiculous.
Cool.
And, of course, the important one. Diablos against Los Banditos.
Los Banditos, if they were able to tie Channel 4 News team, they should be able to dominate Diablos.
Not
And I
doing
mean dominate.
I said it. They're not making the playoffs. François Martin will be wrong. They're losing this game.
So Los Banditos win.
Yes.
So basically,
By inference, that is what it means.
because you said no, and then you did the Simo thing where you disagreed to agree.
6D?
6D, you ready?
Yeah.
We are going
Sorry,
to...
I looked at you with just 30
we
cameras
can't make
in
eye
front of
contact.
you.
We established that already. Give me Déterminé against Vultures.
I didn't tell me, man. They just seem odd, but I feel like they're going to win this game and still be the 2 seed. It's
That's
gonna
what
be
I
nice.
said. I like it.
Yeah.
Raw Sauce, Ball So Hard You.
Oh, Boss. Boss Hard's a good team.
In a game between balls and sauce, give me the balls.
And Sick Bick against Black Sauce.
Black Sox?
No. Sick big, man.
No, because you said black sauce.
Nice.
Black Sox.
I like the Black Sox, but I think they're going to lose this
Sick
game.
Bick
Sick Bick
is-
are just a better team overall.
Yeah.
One thing to mention for this week is that all the games finish on Sunday. We're looking to get the playoff schedule out either literally immediately following those games or early Monday morning, because the round for the playoffs begins Wednesday.
Expect it Monday.
So I neglected the chat function for a little bit,
Okay.
and we have Marc-André Delaunier who said Louis Bégin with 4 question marks. I'm assuming he means for best receiver in 6.
Oh, okay.
Possibly, but not statistically.
So is that what he's doing? He's just like naming his guy because he wants to keep him for spring season?
Correct.
All right.
And Craig Browning
That's a
wrote
good
in.
Salieri right there.
Craig Browning wrote in. What about 9-0?
What about 9-0?
I'm guessing that
9-0?
might be a playoff win. Let me go check that. No, that can't be a playoff win.
I
Isn't
think he
there,
means 9-0, but I
Yeah.
don't know what it's referring
Okay.
isn't there a team that's not in right now?
to. It's Vic and
There
Vox.
could potentially be a 9-0 playoff win if there's a safety for 2 points.
No, but
and
I
then-
think he's talking about his record. I just don't know why.
Okay.
Craig, if you write in later, we'll answer your question. I just don't remember what it pertains to.
Yeah, even if it's in another show.
If I said it,
Yeah, we'll put
earlier,
the
I
other
don't
division on
remember.
a back burner to answer a chat question.
Exactly.
Oh, that'd be good.
Thank you all for tuning in, and remember, goodbye.
Why do you want them to remember the goodbyes?
Just remember it. Always remember goodbye.
But
Always remember it.
don't you want them to remember
I
hello?
I don't want to forget me.
You're
Don't
telling
want
them
to be
forget
forgotten.
you?
That's all it is.
You should say remember hi.
Can you guys stop talking so we can end the show?
Okay.